The President. Members, please return to your seats. Mr. Andrew Wen, please continue. Object to the amendment of the RoP. Mr. Andrew Wen, do you wish to speak? Yes, I am speaking. Please go on. I think it's correct for friends from the Democratic camp to laugh because this is a farce staged by the President and the pro-establishment camp, and they have the face to laugh. We should let the community see. Well, I said that the President was derelict in his duty and had made a bad call. That is about legal advice on quorum for the committee of the council, and even for a joint debate to be conducted. This is outrageous. I think for members present, members of the public present, and those watching live broadcast would know that this joint debate is inappropriate. A joint debate can only be conducted for a motion and its amendments, and yet the President has not relented from exercising his power to the full. Is that allowed? I think the power must be exercised in a reasonable manner. How can we comment on all the amendments to all the motions within 15 minutes or 17 seconds each? So for expedience sake and to beat this deadline before Christmas, I don't know why it must be at Christmas. I don't know whether you are too religious or is it that you want to go on a vacation and you've decided to add more sittings before Christmas. Do you have to do that? And do you have to stage a joint debate for all the motions? I think the President has exercised his powers to such an extent that it defies common sense and are totally unreasonable. And yet, members of the council are seeking to extend your powers, and strangely enough, those you allow, but for amendments from us to control your powers, you have ruled out of order. This is a bad call from Andrew Leung. All right, it's commonplace for you to act illogically. Now, you defy common sense. This is not just about defying common sense. I think we have many lawyers from the opposition camp. I think we have to act according to common sense and the judgment of a person with common sense. Although we have only accepted you as the President reluctantly. All right, since you are the President and you have to operate the RoP, shouldn't you do it more decently to save the face of the Council? And you have made a very bad call, Chairman. Last time, we present the amendments to the RoP to the Council without giving notice, and you said that we have to go through the three-step process, and yet amendments from Martin Liu are not subject to the same principle. Now, perhaps you haven't got a script prepared by the Secretariat. You will say that I have made my ruling. Sit down. Now, because the President is at the loss as to how to explain his ruling, and so he can only suppress our free speech using unreasonable decisions. So, a bad call from Angela. And I think you have intensified the tensions in this council. If you have acted with some wisdom and not and instead of abusing your power to the full, I think you should at least stage a show, as said by Ray Chan. You can seek legal advice from a few more counsel, and then you present to us different legal advice, at least to show that you are trying. I don't know whether it is because you have received an order. You once said that you are in fact the victim here. You are the scapegoat. Perhaps this is a Freudian slip, and you're forced to act in this manner. Anyway, you cheat. Andrew Leung cheats. Shameful. Shameful. Andrew Leung cheats. President, I think you have performed surprisingly well. In the past, I've been asked to sit down. Within a few minutes, I've spoken. Juniors Ho, point of order. Under RoP 42A, all members shall enter or leave the council properly attired and with decorum. And 2, under RoP 42B, no member shall cross the floor of the council unnecessarily. I have listened and observed very carefully. Mr. Andrew Wang, when he spoke, had been inciting other members to chant slogans, and then there are members occupying the floor of the council. This is abnormal. President, you refer to Cap 382 Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance. Under Section 7, there is an offense of contempt. Anyone who during the council sitting cause any disturbance or uproar, disrupting the proceedings of the council, this has happened twice today, is an offense and is liable to a fine of $10,000 and imprisonment of 12 months. And if the conduct persists, the daily fine is another $2,000. So I ask you to make a ruling. Please check. Members who have not followed your direction to return to their seats and have them recorded. Dr. Juniors Ho raised a point of order and also quoted from Cap 382. That was a correct point. Once again, I appeal to members to return to your seats. Otherwise, I've no choice but to exercise the rules of procedure. Andrew Leung is a shame. Andrew Leung cheats. Mr. Jeremy Tam, President, I hope you will seriously consider the scenario and the circumstances is close to 8 p.m. and it's about time you ended the meeting. You following your usual practice, so please consider suspending the meeting now. This is my last warning to members. Return to your seats. I am dealing with a point of order. I'm dealing with a point of order. Mr. Dennis Kwok. Mr. Ediju, give me a moment, please. to prevent the situation from escalating, I'd like to seek our legal advisor's view. Yes, Section 17 of the Electrical Appliance Privileges Ordinance stated so, but under Section 3, it is also said that members have the freedom of speech and debate. No ruling can be made on members when they are so doing. So, legal advisor, please give us some guidance as to how Section 3 should be construed to give some instructions to members sitting out there. You are a professional barrister. You are entitled to give legal advice to your members. As regards the legal consequence, I don't have any professional view to give, and it is inappropriate for our legal advisor to provide advice on this. And once again, may I urge you to return to your seats. I am handling a point of order. Speaker is off mic. Speaker is off mic. Once again, my last appeal to members to return to their seats so that the proceedings can continue. Please return to your seats as soon as possible to allow Mr. Andrew Wen to complete his speech as soon as possible. Speaker is off mic. Mr. Ray Chen, please return to your seat. Speaker is off mic. Mr. Hui Chi-feng, please return to your seat at once. Ms. Claudia Mo, please return to your seat. Members, all quiet, please. Mr. Andrew Wen, please continue. President, this state is entirely of your making. You're responsible for creating this state. As we say, we do not have democracy. We do not have directly returned electrical. We do not have executive that is elected. Now, I have to come back to this. Don't say that I have digressed. Mr. Wen. Well, it is entirely quiet? Why do you have to move people out? Why do you have to create this state of using force? Is it necessary? Mr. Andrew Wan is speaking, and there was no one to stop him from speaking. Why do you have to create this scene? Is this what you would like to see? I have no intention, I have no wish to see members injured, but we have to ensure that we can proceed.
Mr. Jeremy Tam, you requested me to enforce the RoP. I didn't request you that. You only solve part of the problem. Either you let members continue to speak, but not like this. Right? Ms. Claudia Mo, please return to your seat immediately. Coward. President, you should handle it properly. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin. No microphone? Yes, Mr. Wong Kwok Kin. Just now we witnessed what happened. Mr. Ted Hui attacked a security guard of the council. Please rule on this, Mr. President. How should it be dealt with? Otherwise, the security guards in the council will face a danger. Please remain silent, keep order, and return to your seats, members. Mr. Andrew Wan, please continue. Mr. President, why must you do this? It's you who created this chaos. This is not the Democratic Council anyway. This is not an elected government anyway. Why are you pushing this pressure cooker to the limit that is going to explode? You're a bad referee. Well, I prepared some speaking notes, but I'm not going to refer to them. Because for members here at other meetings, you would criticize the government, such as the Wang Chao incident. Paul Chair, you chairman of the Select Committee in relation to UGL, you criticized C.Y. Leung, and then you are actually chairman, and you criticize the government as well. Now you're turning your back to us, and you're trying to gain political mileage, right? You're trying to score and please the Saiwan office, is that right? Now, for the petition proposal, you want to reduce the quorum to 20 only, and you say that this is wrong. And when you criticized Eunice Yong and when you chafed Junius Ho, you had so much pleasure. And now you say that it's all wrong? And you just take advantage of everybody, including the pro-establishment camp. You criticize C.Y. Leung, and after everything, you now say that it's wrong. And Madam Chek Ting and I will be going to Australia, and I will count you in. I'll count you in. You call this intimidation? I'm going to go to Australia to pursue the matter relating to C.Y. Leung and UGL. I will dig out the truth. I dare you to go. You talk about us mentioning what happened 10 years ago. Well, this just happened 10 days ago. I really get emotional when I criticize you. There is no reasoning here. Well, we have deteriorated to such a state. The pro-establishment camp, you stay united because you receive orders from above. Well, we managed to investigate the UGL because we had the petition mechanism. If it's reduced to 20, we won't be able to do that. We have no so-called powers and privileges. Now, like Ms. Claudia Mo said, we tried once and we failed because you defended the government, the pro-establishment camp, right? We weren't able to pursue the matter relating to C.Y. Leung. It's because Holden Chow colluded with C.Y. Leung, and there is no way for us to help the public air their grievances. And you dare to support this proposal to amend the RoP? Back then, did anyone come out to support C.Y. Leung? And when you're going to visit C.Y. Leung when he's in prison in the future? Shut up, Paul Chair. I'm trying to help you criticize others. And everybody back in the back row should clap. their hands and see the smile on the faces of members behind you. In the last minute of my speaking time, Mr. President, I really find it difficult to continue to shout at you like this. But anyway, I have aired my anger. I've expressed my emotions. I believe that this black whistle prop will continue to be used in the coming years. I think that for the 20-odd pan-Democrats here, we're all going to prepare one of such prop, because whenever chairman of various committees, including the Finance Committee, etc., and your good self cheat, we are going to point that out. Well, in our protests or in our filibustering tactic, we seek to target the squandering of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars on white elephant projects. But in the future, we'll continue to target you. Mr. Sukachan. Mr. Sukachan, do you wish to speak? Mr. President, my voice has become coarse even before I speak. I may even lose my voice tomorrow. We have members of the public gathering downstairs, and we have members of the public watching the webcast at the moment. I don't think they mind my voice, because similarly, this council's voice is now coarse and weakened, and very soon the voice will be lost. Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, said the following: if there is no equality and justice in the country, when a country grows strong in such a state, this will be the misfortune of the people. And this applies to the Council as well. We have a grand council complex with a lot of members working here. However, if there is no fairness and justice in this council, no matter how grand and how nicely built this council is, it is not a blessing to the people. It's rather a curse. Mr. President, regarding what is happening today, I'd like to ask you, Mr. President, are we seeing the worst? Because for me, it's really the worst day of my life as this council since last year. Can you tell me, Mr. President, whether you think this is the worst day as well? We had a protest just now. We may not like it. But what I dislike the most is a kind of mockery going on. I heard a lot of sarcastic remarks and mocking remarks. Last week I said that I hope that we are here as fellow members, not as enemies, not as competitors. But just now I felt that we are becoming enemies instead. Today we are supposed to discuss the proposed amendments to the rules of procedure. And Paul Chair said that desperate times calls for desperate measures. Some members said that this is in fact the punch that hurt both sides. I don't know much about fighting, but I do know this classical Chinese phrase. What does it mean? It is an expression in the later Han Dynasty. And it says that if you drink this wine, that is to say, is a very toxic bird that will be used in preparing a kind of poisonous wine, and if the wine is consumed, the throat will be burned and the person will be killed. So if we take this approach today in amending the RoP in order to deal with the opposition in this council, then exactly we are trying to drink poison to quench our thirst. You may think that in the short term, the Pan-Democrats would be curbed from staging opposition, so that for the co-location arrangement bill and also the Article 23 legislation, all these will be passed, but it creates damage in the long term. Some members said that after the by-election in March, when some members are returned by election, we'll see what happens. But this is not what we want. We have a future here. We are going to continue to debate on motions and bills. And must we always be confrontational on every bill, every motion? Is it just a zero-sum game in every motion and every bill? Opposing the link reads, also scrapping TSA for primary 3. Are all these zero-sum games, Mr. President? On the 6th of December, Mr. Paul Chair, during an interview, said that in general, the Council has spent much time in dealing with abortion of meetings and filibustering, such that our valuable time for deliberating on bills have been lost. And I think that the public would be the most concerned about the amendment to the RoP. And I think that I think that for supporters of the Pan-Democratic camp, they think that it would be good news not for the public but for the pro-establishment camp, because with 6 members gone, they are taking advantage of our crisis. Or some members should say that we should stop dwelling on this point, because it's after all a battle, and that the winning side would continue to charge forward, and that's what's happening now. But it's not about good news or not. And just now, according to Paul Chair, the public would be the most joyous party. But what does he mean when he mentioned the public? I think he is referring to citizen. And I would say that it's a civic member of the society, because as a citizen, one would have a strong sense of participating in the community, and also a strong sense of participating in policy formulation. He believes that his act would change society, and is related to what I'm saying now. I believe that things will change. Even if we're experiencing the worst, it will change, and it may have to do with what we're doing today. I may not be the only element affecting the outcome, but I will be part of the success in the future. And I think this is what our citizens think as they're watching the proceeding in this chamber, as they are watching how the president is abusing his power, how the situation is chaotic in this council. I wonder if they will truly feel joyful. As for filibustering, I am not going to repeat Mr. Paul Chair's point. It was in December 1999 when filibustering first happened in this council. It was Jasper Zhang, Tam Yu Chung, who initiated it in relation to the abolition of an urban and regional councils bill, because there were insufficient members from the pro-establishment camp. Tam Yu Chung and also the Michael Sun, the then secretary, filibustered and lengthened their speech in order to wait for sufficient members to come back. Finally, the bill was passed. In 1999, Lau Kwong-wah from DAB commented on filibustering. He said that it's kind of tactic, and I stress once again, according to Lau Kwong-wah, filibustering is a tactic. He even said that it is entirely acceptable in the parliament. So if you want to blame us for filibustering, you should look back in history, what happened in December 1999. Of course, the so-called filibustering is not unique in Hong Kong. It is also a common proceeding in parliaments elsewhere. It's a tactic of delaying the passage of the bill, delaying of the procedure to vote on certain resolutions in order to express the public's concerns. It's a reasonable way of opposition.
No, I haven't had much experience as a member, but I think I could sum that up now. No, I must say I'm sorry to the public. As a member, I can't make the good happen, but at least I hope I could limit the bad that happens. But unfortunately, I think that although I can't make the good happen, I probably couldn't stop the bad from happening either. I can't stop evil laws from being passed one after another. And now you think that's not even quick enough. You want everything to be passed very quickly, like in the days of the Provisional Legislative Council. But was it then the best time, best political state? Was it the time when there was the most harmony in the community? Now, on the motion under Rule 40(1) moved by Mr. Alvin Yeung, I struggled. Now, I commend some of the amendments moved by the Pen Democrats, like Amendment to 23A, that is, as the President exercises his performs his duty, he must always defend the autonomy of this council. It's because there is separation of powers, that's why Hong Kong could prosper. And also under Article 71 of the Basic Law, it says that the president of this council is elected among members. But would the president side with any parties? Well, I think we could all see that. So the powers of the president must not be unfettered. There must be provisions to remind the president that as he owns the most powers in the legislature, he must at the same time defend the autonomy and independence of the Legislative Council. Now, we do see room for improvement in the rules of procedure, so the Pen Democrats put in great effort to put forward 149 amendments to the rules of procedure, but at the end, the president only allowed 23 amendments. So 23 motions with 54 amendments. And for some of these amendments, they were vetoed because they didn't go through the three-step process. But then for the pro-establishment camp, some of the motions could be were allowed even though they did not go through the three-step process. So I just cannot accept that. And for many of the loyalist amendments are unreasonable. Now, just now, Mr. Paul Zhang admitted that what they're doing is to undermine the powers of the council, but they have no choice. They have to do this. And some of the amendments have to do with expanding the powers of the president while undermining the powers of members. This will allow the president to stop moving motions for the purpose of filibustering. This will help to reduce the time of debate. And now, it is our duty to discuss amendments or amendments to motions. It is our power. This is what we are given under Article 73 of the Basic Law. Now, I don't want to repeat the 10 points in Article 73. Then Mr. Paul Jie admitted that these amendments are moved to undermine the powers of the Legislative Council. And then Article 75 says that the rules of procedure of the Legislative Council shall be made by the Council on its own, but it must not contravene the law. So we are given the duty to monitor the government. Now, Dr. Priscilla Leung said that this set of amendments to debate the rules of procedure is not self-castration. It's just that you want to follow the rules of procedure in a normal manner, so there could still be debate, there could still be lobbying. It's not that then the government could sail through without hiccups in passing all bills and motions. And we didn't ask we didn't ask to see the members to be disqualified, but it's just that they brought this upon themselves. So now we have this opportunity to make amendments to the rules of procedure. Why don't we do it? So that's what Dr. Priscilla Leung said. Now, I respect you, but you have totally ignored the choices of the people. Mr. Nathan Law received 58,000 votes. Dr. Lau Siu Lai received 38,000 votes. Edward Yu's got 2,000 something votes. Yao Wei Ching's got 20,000 votes. Sixtus Leung 37,000 votes. So you have disqualified the choice of 1.85 million voters, or 185,000 voters. You have taken away the choice of some 180,000 voters, and then you don't feel shame. You actually gloat about it. So that's really the fall of this council. Hong Kong is dying.
我現在宣布休會。
I now adjourn the council until the 13th of December 2017, Wednesday at 11 a.m. Thank you.